Here we go. Chapter 42 of Agricola. Adorat jam annos. The year was now here, ad sum, or at hand. Quo, in which or by which, proconsulatum Africae et Asia sortirita. So the proconsulships, genitive, of Africa and Asia, they were to be sorted out, they were to be drawn by lots. And occasio civica nupa. And with recently, the adverb here doesn't decline or pars, the blave absolute. With civica occasio, which means he's dead, he was executed. I think he was allotted Asia, but he was killed. Nec Agricolae concilium adirat. Dirat means there was lacking. So neither was there a plan or a decision to Agricola lacking, nor, dative to Domitian, an exemplum, or, as I say, precedence to Domitian. Cessere. Sometimes it means someone looks like to go up to. Quidam, certain people. This is the demonstrative pronoun. Cogitationum princeps periti. We're from the I, it's plural, so there were certain people, quidam, periti, who were experienced, in the past passive plural, in the cogitations princeps of the princeps, of the prince, of the emperor. So there was certain experience in the thinkings of the emperor's mind, who were to arcesere, to go unto, qui, who, iturus ne, that's got the enclitic ne of a question. Iturus is a singular male, future, who esset in provinciam ultra Agricola interrogant. So these people would interrogate Agricola, ultra, using their own accord or their own method. Iturus, to ask, interrogate Agricola if he was going to go into a province. Ac primo, and in the first place, occultius, it's comparative, so rather secretively, rather occultively, quietam, accusative, and otium laudare. So these are these plural people, they are praising quiet and leisure, and mox soon, operum suum in ad probanda excusation, offerre. So and soon they offered here, offerre, operum sum. This is their own effort or their own attentions. It's probably in approving of his excuse. We see in with the ablative here and with his gerundive, which would be adjectival. So they went rather secretly. They were praising quiet and leisure, but soon they offer their own attentions in approving any excuses that he make. Postremo, and finally, so we have primo at first, moves on to mox soon, and postremo finally. Noniam, not now, obscuri, so now they weren't occulting, they weren't covering up, obscuring their intent. Present participle, suadentes simul terentes qui. So at the same time they were persuading him and terrifying him, they protraxerate him, which means they dragged him ad Domitionum, to Domitian. Qui, who, so this is Domitian, who paratus simulation, who was prepared for this pretense, a simulation, in adrogantiam compositus. Again, we have the TUS ending here. So he was composed in arrogance, adrogantium is an arrogance, in with the accusative, and audit. So he had heard preces, the entreaties, or what Agricola was saying, excusantis et cum ad nuisset. So we heard these entreaties and excuses, we say excusione up there. And when he had nuisset, this means he had nodded his head. You have ab for negative and ad for agreement. So here he is approved of something and nodded his head. Agai sibi gratios passes est. So here he passes est. He allowed agai to be done, to be given, sibi to himself, gratius, thanks. So he acknowledged this and approved of it, and he allowed himself or suffered himself to be thanked. Nec erubit benefici invidia. And neither did he erubit, neither was he blushing. This beneficial, bene means well and fici means deed. So this good willing of invidia. So invidia, as you know, is a more of a hatred thing. So he wasn't blushing when he bestowed on him this kind of envy and hatred. Salarium tamen. So tamen, nevertheless, salarium, it comes from salt. It's actually your wages, your salary. Nevertheless, a salary, solitum oferi, which is a custom, solitum's custom, passive oferi, to be offered. This doesn't look dative, with a consulship, you might want to say. Normally, there was a salary, which was accustomed, and quibusdam, demonstrative pronoun, and you want to say in certain cases, a say ipso, by him himself, were concessioned. So these were which were normally conceded by him himself. This would be the salary offered. The salary which was accustomed to be offered was normally conceded by himself. But Agricolae, dative, non-dedit, so he didn't give it to Agricola. Sive, either offensus, he was offended. Again, the US comes from past passive. He was offended because the non-petitum was not sought, sive, or from his own consciousness, conscientia. Naquod, when we see naquod, it means not which, not a thing which. Vetverat vidita emisi. So he didn't want it seemed that that he bought this, and vetverat means he vetoed or he denied. So if we put nequod vetrat viderat asemi, so he was offended, he could be self-conscious. So he himself had actually vetoed or forbidden this, and he didn't want it to seem he'd bought it. I think that's probably what we'll settle on. Proprium humana ingenii est. So proprium means it's belonging to the subject. So belonging to the human ingeni, the character, odessi, to hate, quem he whom, laceris, you've attacked or provoked. Domitiani viro, so viro would be but or however. Natura, the nature of the mission, as we see there, is precepts. The nature is precepts in irem. He goes headlong into anger. Et quo obscuria, comparative, eo irrocabilior. We have quo eo, which are correlatives with two comparatives. So we know that, and so the more irrevocable he is, which means uncontrollable, the more obscuria he gets, the more he covers over what his true feelings were. Moderatione tamen, so yet, or still, or nevertheless, moderation prudentia qui, in the moderation and the wisdom prudentia of Agricola, a genitive, leniabatur, the situation, softened the nature of the mission. Quia, because non contumacia, so it was usually means insulting words, so he wasn't using any contumacious words, no insults, nequi nor inania jactatione, these look ablative, nor with empty boastings, jactations of boastings, libertatus fatum qui provocabat. Okay, because Agricola was non-provoking with his with insults or empty boastings of fame, libertatus, so he wasn't free with his rumour and fatum. Oh, there was a daily dictionary we better have. So the freedom of fame and fatum. Fatum can be destiny, but can also mean death and destruction. So that daily dictionary setup was irrevocabilis, irrevocable, uncontrollable. And we saw the comparative of uncontrollable there. Scian, they know, quibus moris est in licitiae mirare, those who mirare, those who are amazed or wonder at the moris, these are customs or ways. Posse is able, etiam even, sub malus principals, under bad princes, under bad emperors, for magnos vires esse, for there to be great men. Obsequiamquem ec modestiam. Obsequious means to be more on the softer side, and obeying and modest. C. Industria ac vigor ad sint. This is the subjunctive version of at hand or at present. So if there's purpose, industry, and vigor, and strength or flourishing is here. Eo laudis excedere, quo pleriqui per abrupta, sed in nullum republicam usem nisi ambitiosa morte inclarunt. Yeah, so we had, if purpose and vigor were present, excedere, they could excel or go to this. Laudis with praise, quo pleriqui. Pleriqui means mostly per abrupta. Per abrupta is a little phrase which means through rough or dangerous things. So most of them go through these dangerous things, but they are in no usum republic, but they're of no use to the republic, except for ambitiosa. Inclarent means they become famous, morte, in their death. So they have a rather showy death if they have no use to the republic, but we see Agricola is very useful to the republic. 43. Finis vitae eius, so the end of his life, nobis to us, luctuoso. This is an adjective, means it's there's grief to us, or amicus tristis, which means sad or grim, so his friends were sad. Extraneous etiam, even to the outsiders. Ignotus, and those who was unknown to. Ignotus means unknown. Non sine cura fuit, they were not without cares or anxiety. The vulgus quoque, so the vulgus, the common people also, et hic aliod agens populus, and the populace, people who were agens or living out or doing aliod other things, hic, and ventivere ad domum, and so this is some way of saying they visited, they came to his home. At perfora, this is a plural accusative, through forums, and circuloses. Circulus is little gatherings, literally means in a circle. Locutai sunt, they spoke. They were talking about his death. Nec quisquam, neither was anyone, audita morte Agricolae, ablative absolute, having heard of the death of Agricola, aut latatus, either were happy, quisquam's a singular, latatus is singular, est or statim, or immediately oblitus, or forgetful of him. Augabat, the imperfect. So something was increased, miserationem, so the commiseration or pity was increased, constans rumor, a constant rumor, veneno, by poison, interceptum. Intercepted, so his life was intervened with by poison, or was cut off by poison. So there was a constant rumor increasing the pity or the commiseration, because it's believed he was killed by poison. Nobis nihil comperta ut adfermere orsim. So nobis to us, nihil nothing, comperta was found, ut that orsim, I would dare to affirm this. That so nothing was found that would affirm this. Here we go, nearly done. Ceterum, but per omnem valetudinem eus, but through all these valetudinem, or for all his sickness. Crebrius, rather frequently, quam ex more, from custom, principatus per nuntius, these are nuntius through the messengers of the principate of the emperor, Vicentis, they came to see him basically, and libertorum primae, the first foremost of the freedmen, and medicorum intimae venere, these came, the intimate of the doctors, or the people who he trusted or knew, sieve, either cura iliad, either they came through some sort of actual care or worry, or inquisitio, or they were inquisitive basically. Supremo quidem die, so indeed his supremo deo, his last day, momenta ipsa, the moment itself, deficientis per dispositus cursores nuntiat constabat. So constabat, it was agreed, cursors are people who run around, the messengers, nuntatia, so there's announcements through these dispatches. In the moment himself, when he was deficient, when he was dying on his last day, it was agreed that there were runners with these messages. Nullo credente, that's the present participle in the ablative, so that's ablative. Nullo, with no one believing, thus sick, ad celerate, that this was sped up, quae tristis audiret. So with no one believing these messages were sped up, so he would hear this tristis and sad. So this is Dominion, I'm guessing. So Domitian, so that he would be sad. Specimen tamen. Nevertheless, the specimen, the speciem, the appearance, doloris animi, of the grieving of his mind or the pain of his mind, voltu, in his bearing, in his looks, prae se tulit. This is how he bore it himself, or he presented himself, which he showed on his face. He was securus now, securus iam, odi and qui facilius. So this hatred, and quae in which he could more easily make pretenses, gaudium quam metum. So he more easily made dissimulated. He made pretenses of joy rather than fear. So basically, it's saying when he felt happy, he found it easier to make pretenses than in fear. So again, the appearance of his grieving mind, bore on his face. He showed that he was grieving. So his hate was now secure. So he was secure in his hate, so he wasn't worried anymore. And he could hide gaudium facilius more easily than metum, than fear. Satis constabat. So it's satisfactorily agreed, lecto testamento, with the testament, the will being read, Agricola, of Agricola, is the genitive, quo, by which cohere optime uxore and piissime file. So he was a co-heir with the best wife and the most pious superlative of daughters. Was the co-heir was Domitian. Scripsit, it was written. Laetatum eum velat honore judiciaque. So he was happy, as if. Velat means as if. So, like with his honour and judice and judgment, so made him laetatum, happy. Tam caca et corrupta mens. So blind and corrupted of mind, assiduous adulation abus is erat. So eratness means he was. By assiduous means constant adulation. So this is Domitian. He was blind and with a corrupted mind from this constant adulation. Ut nesciret, that he didn't know that a bono patre, from a good father, non scribi herit, you don't write an heir from a good father, nisia, unless there's a malum principum, unless there's an evil or bad prince or emperor.